All right. Well, I've waited the obligatory 15 seconds to see if this thing will go. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It's Roy Potter. This is a spontaneous version of the Potter Expositor because of some things that I just listened and learned about from Lee Stranahan. You got to listen to this. This is crazy. As you know, I consider Lee to be one of the most, if not the most, important investigative journalist in the world today. And as I've said before, he will talk about things. Hello, as you come in, Ladybug Nancy, interesting name. Hi, uh, happy that you're here, and also to everybody else that comes in. Hello, Diane. Well, as I said, this is kind of extemporaneous. This is kind of on the spur of the moment, but I felt that it was necessary enough to cover right away. So, hello everybody as you come in. Forgive me if I don't see you and say hello, but know that I appreciate you being here. Okay, so Stranahan did a Periscope. Lee Stranahan did a Periscope, which is on my Twitter feed and on Periscope and probably on his Twitter feed as well, at Stranahan. Okay. And I think a lot of people are now getting this out. At least I hope so. The quality isn't real good because he was doing it from his phone, so it's quite pixelated. There by, I think it's at Central Station, just south of the Capitol, or I guess, yeah, south of the Capitol in D.C. But it's on Periscope and Twitter from Lee Stranahan. And again, it's on my Twitter feed as well. I would like to put a link here in this video, but the Periscope doesn't let you do that. At least I haven't figured out how to do it. So anyway, the name of it is, and this is really important because of it's incredible the information that he gives out. It's I just saw a comment. Who knows what that's about? It says the name of it is "Why the Democrats Cannot Be Trusted to Protect Women from Violence or to Advocate for hashtag Me Too." That's the name of it. So you can go look it up. You can find it on my Twitter feed. I just put it up here just a few minutes this morning. I'm only going to really touch on a couple, 2 to 3 issues that he brought up that I think are incredibly important. He calls the Democrats a criminal cult. And by and large, with the way that they act across the board, with very few exceptions, very few of them are centrist anymore, at least the ones that we hear about. Yeah, Pastor Brunson is coming home. They charged him, but they're letting him go. Thank President Trump for that. He's been working very hard on that. Yeah, this is my country shirt. Okay, that's what that's all about. A little chilly, so I do wear flannel shirts once in a while, not often, but at any rate. So congratulations to Trump on getting Brunson released. I think that's a great job. But let's get back to the Democrats now. With very few exceptions, most Democrats are not centrist anymore. Now I know a couple, and they still are, but to even have that label, to accept that label, in my estimation, especially with what's transpired in the last little while, is probably not a good idea. At least they could be independents now. But at any rate, Democrats are a criminal cult. I know a lot about cults. I didn't want to go that far with a party, calling an entire party a cult. But I figure, if Lee Stranahan can do it, I might as well come out and support that estimation, that analysis by him, because I believe he's absolutely right, especially with the behavior and lack of civility, even though they want to blame us for the lack of civility and that, oh, we're attacking everything they hold dear, so we're not being civil. But they don't take into account that they've been attacking everything we hold dear, and the very constitutional republic and the Constitution itself that we hold dear, they've been attacking for a long time. Yeah, and I already know about the left-right paradigm. Somebody's saying the left and right belong on a... Yeah, I realize that there's a left-right paradigm, okay? But we are seeing some division here that is more clarifying than just to talk about the left-right paradigm, which is a false paradigm. I understand that. Okay, I've talked about it ad infinitum in the past. But right now, I want to give Trump all of the ammo that he needs to either succeed or shoot himself in the foot. I don't want to go along for another 2 to 4 to 6 years thinking it's like this NAFTA agreement. I'm not even sure about that now. It almost looks like an effort to push the North American Union again. Yeah, he rewrote it. He has uh, basically renegotiated it. But okay, it's not as bad as it was before. But we're still talking about a North American Union in the NAFTA deal that they just fixed. That's troubling to me. The Syrian thing is troubling to me. The Yemeni situation is troubling to me. The fact that we're still selling weapons to an enemy, which is really what they are, Saudi Arabia, is troubling to me. All to make money, all to get jobs. Okay, there's a lot of stuff. Yeah, the Book of Enoch. I probably ought to do more religious instruction, but I have a son that does that pretty well, so I've kind of let him go off on that score. But anyway, let's get back to Lee Stranahan. So there are all these things with the Democrats that are a real problem. It's not something that we can hold back from anymore and not point out. They're responsible for the social media doing what they're doing as far as the censorship and all that. They're in on it more so than the rhinos. Okay, I'm not saying they aren't there, but more so than the rhinos. As a party, as a complete party, they're in on it because if you disagree with them, you're not being civil. It's the old thing. You have to basically go along with us or you're our enemy. Okay, and I'm already taking too much time on this. So let me get back to Stranahan. So he said some things that I think you need to know about. The first is, why is it that if there's so much for women and for what's happened, the way they backed up Christine Blasey Ford on her total uncorroborated insults and accusations against now Justice Kavanaugh, and those of us in law enforcement who could have looked at that and said, this woman's lying, or at least she is not telling the truth, there is a slight difference, bending the truth. Her pretenses with her voice, her mannerisms, she had been coached on all of that because we know from her students at where she's taught that is not her normal way of talking. Even if she was concerned about what had happened to her, to go to that character, which is totally out of character for her, is very revealing. Okay, so she was lying, absolutely 100%, no doubt about it. Okay, the Me Too movement latched on because as actually the lady that started that, now I've forgotten her name. Oh well. It started out to show that there's a problem, and it was usurped by the Democratic Party and used as a weapon. And now, of course, an accusation is supposed to replace due process. Well, anyway, so we have this situation with Monahan that where Keith Ellison abused her, and yet they're totally ignoring it. Right now, her attorney was on Lee's program this morning talking about all these issues. So that's the first thing I wanted to bring up. That type of hypocrisy. Okay, they won't clean up their own act, but they want to point fingers at everybody else. What kind of behavior is that? Satanic behavior. The accuser, the false accuser of the brethren. And I've already talked about Blasey Ford, that she was lying. So we have that situation, right? And Stranahan covers these things in detail, so I don't want to take a lot of time here, which I already have. But the one that blew me away, why I didn't know this, I have no idea. Listen to this. You remember Jim Jones of Jonestown, Guyana, right? The cult that was kind of it was a synthesis of the Holy Rollers, as Lee Stranahan talks about, and Marxism. They were kind of thrown together in there, and all these people went down to Guyana and they drank. All of them. It was like 300 people that committed suicide by drinking Kool-Aid with cyanide in it. Do you remember that, or are you aware of it? If you weren't around at the time, if you don't remember it, this is true. You can go look it up. Jim Jones, Jonestown, and the cult. Well, what Lee revealed today, and this is what I want to talk to you about. This is why, Feinstein is not just wicked, she is evil to the core. And most of those that follow her are too. Schumer, of course, just almost the entire party. Listen to this. Dianne Feinstein was closely related to Jim Jones when she was mayor of San Francisco. She used him and his cult to go out and get people to vote Democrat. She has ties, close ties, to Jim Jones and the Jonestown cult. Isn't it interesting that no one talks about this? Lee made the point, the media totally ignores this connection with her. I wanted to take the time this morning to come out here just real quick and bring this up because they are trying to rip apart the country, and yet they're blaming us for it, for standing up against their hypocrisy, their Marxist, leftist, Leninist, Stalinist behavior. For instance, one of the people today, I forget exactly who said it now. Um, it's one of the leftists. They said a well-known one. I'm sorry, I've forgotten the name. She said that we're the people that went in with Kanye West in to see Trump yesterday. They're all mentally ill, and their families need to take care of them. That is the attack that the Stalinists use when you dissent from the state and try to point out problems. They're trying to say they're the dissenters. No, no, they're the ones that are trying to hold on to the continuing buildup of the authoritarian, tyrannical government contrary to the constitutional republic. I'm not saying I don't have problems with Trump. We're gonna wait and see. That's just the way it is. But certainly the Democrats and those types of people have already proven it. So I wanted to bring that out about Dianne Feinstein. I have a friend who has had some respect for her in the past. I'll bet you he doesn't even know about this, which will change his opinion on her entirely. So I'm sorry if I've bothered everybody this morning, but I thought that that was important. Please go. You can tweet this one out as as Lee says. Retweet this puppy. But the real more so than even my presentation here. Yes, and I will do more religious videos, but they're going to be different. Kelly, what is it, Galloway? It's not going to be what most people think. Okay, I'm not a traditional Christian. I consider myself a Jamesian Christian. A lot of people that follow me probably don't even know exactly what I mean by that. But at any rate, let's talk about Lee. So please go and look on the Twitter and on Periscope it's at Stranahan, okay, and look up why the Democrats cannot be trusted to protect women from violence or to advocate for Me Too. Hashtag Me Too. Uh, Please go and do that if you have Twitter or you're on Periscope. And also, you can retweet this so that people will know about that. And I've already taken almost 13 minutes, so I'll go for now. Thanks, everybody, for coming. Next week's going to be interesting. Actually, starting tomorrow is going to be interesting, but I probably won't tell you much about that. But for sure, next week is going to be interesting. I have a special guest coming on Thursday. You might be surprised that I'd have somebody like this on the program. But remember, I'm against all real criminal behavior, not people getting together and agreeing to do things, amongst themselves, that kind of thing. But if you're out to hurt somebody or to take advantage of somebody or something like that, I don't care who you are. We should come after you. All right. So that's coming up next week. I think. What ties does she have? Who? Feinstein, Duke Wright? Is that who you're talking about? What ties does Feinstein have? Or my guest next week? I'm going to answer his question if he's listening so I can explain that a little bit more. What ties does she have? Again, Duke, right? Who are you talking about? Feinstein? Or are you talking about my guest next week? Okay, he's not answering. At least it's not coming through yet. So I'll figure that it's about my guest. Okay, my guest is part of a coalition to investigate. Let's see, how can I put this? Um, Child abuse. Let's put it that way. Okay, it's more detailed than that, but I think that you'd be interested. You missed the type of description. I might call myself a Jamesian Christian. I am not a Pauline Christian, okay, which most religions are. I'm not a Pauline Christian. And if you read my book, The Crimson Thread, I'm not meaning to promote that, but really it's the best way to go to understand what that means. So anyway, that's how I classify myself. All right. Okay, I'm going to go. I've taken up enough time. There are a lot of good things going on that everybody wants to, kind of keep track of, rather than mine. So, Feinstein, you were talking about Feinstein, Duke, right? Yeah, the ties that she has are you have to understand who Jim Jones is. Now, of course, he died along with the 300 followers of his in Guyana with the laced Kool-Aid. That's where the the saying came from, you drink the Kool-Aid. They're really referring to Jonestown and the mass suicide there with the cyanide and the Kool-Aid. But Jim Jones was a real estate mogul in the San Francisco area. He and Feinstein were friends. He started the cult. She used the cult to get out and get people registered to vote. In other words, they were very similar to what Acorn was used, how Acorn was used by Obama. Very similar. Okay, so they were close friends. Basically, they were business partners. All right. Okay, I'm done for today. Thanks everybody for coming. Again, please retweet this, but more importantly, go to @Stranahan and retweet why the Democrats cannot be trusted to protect women from violence or to advocate for #MeToo. It's on his Periscope and it's on the Twitter timeline if you go look for it. Okay. All right. Have a great weekend. You might see me again. It depends on some things, but we'll probably plan on something possibly. Yeah, her husband is in real estate too, which is another tie-in. But certainly next week. Okay. All right. Take care. Thanks a bunch. Out here.